Well, hello there, fellow geeks and geekettes, and welcome to a micro review. At the times of self-isolation and social distancing that a lot of us have found ourselves in, I have been trying to stay active as much as possible. I've been writing, I've been reading, I've been watching things, I've been rereading and rewatching things. I've been trying to exercise as much as possible without a proper gym being opened. But it is also important to just relax and ponder and contemplate upon things. And I have found out that one of the best ways to do that is going through my collection and just looking at it. Not only my comic book and book collection, my films collection, my action figures, and my statues, but really everything from the million, billion, gazillion things I collect, to just look at it, going through it, remember the first time I read this or that book or seen this or that movie, and thinking about why I like these things, and thinking about the impact they had upon me. And I came upon probably my favorite Hulk comic book, and I remembered why I love this comic book so much, for many reasons, obviously. But there is one panel, there is one page, or is it a couple of pages, we'll see, that has or have stayed in my mind so strongly that I doubt I will ever forget these pages, even if I didn't reread this comic book ever again. And for me, this comic book will forever be specific, just because of these single 2 or 3 pages. I'm talking about Hulk Grey. First, let me tell you just briefly, what's the gist of the Hulk Grey. Well, it's a sort of retelling of Hulk's origin story, with a couple of enhancements. The first one is the creative team that worked on Hulk Grey. It was made by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, a dynamic duo in the comic book industry. They worked on Batman Halloween, Haunted Knight, The Dark Victory, which is, I would call it, Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale Batman trilogy. They worked on Daredevil Yellow, Captain America White, Hulk Grey, Spider-Man Blue. They like colors. And Superman, I believe they did the Kryptonite. In the Superman Confidential series, they did, I think, Superman for All Seasons. They did a lot, and each and every time they did some comic book, they focused on a particular superhero. They did it masterfully, and I haven't read a comic book done by this duo, Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, that I wouldn't like. And that, I don't know if that might be the reason why this particular version of Hulk is my favorite, but I don't really think so. I think that it's really because it really depicts the true nature of Hulk. That yes, he is a beast, a huge monster, but in heart, not only is he partially still Bruce Banner, even if he is transformed into this huge monster, but even when he is in this monster mode, and is acting simplistically and brutally and like a savage, we can still see that this side also is quite vulnerable and quite human and compassionate, and not only filled with brutish anger and brutish force, which is very beautifully depicted in this. Why is it called Hulk Grey? Well, very simply, because it's drawn, or the Hulk is drawn in the way he was drawn at the very beginning of his creation, and that is not being green, but being grey, of the grey color, as you can see, for instance, here, on the beautiful, extraordinary artwork of Tim Sale. Just look at that. You will look at the page, you will look at the picture, and you'll instantly see and recognize that it is Tim Sale's artwork. He is one of the artists that whose style is very specific, and you will recognize it on the first glance. It's not a modern vanilla comic book artwork that is appearing in hundreds of comic books that are being published nowadays, or, well, were published, since we're not going to get any new comic books for some time. One of the covers, look at that. You can see the inner suffering of Hulk. So the story is Bruce Banner talking to his psychiatrist and telling him a story of, well, how he became Hulk for the first time and things that he had to go through during the first days of this transformation. And all the touching moments, such as meeting General Ross and Betty. They have very significant and important roles in it. As you can see here, Hulk being the monster, but still in his face saying Betty. You can see that he recognizes her, and then that he still loves her. And this reminds me of King Kong a little bit. You know, he or him, the huge gigantic ape falling in love with this teensy tiny woman. That's just touching and beautiful. See, she passes out. He kidnaps her, but when he takes her to an area where nobody, is present, so they are alone, but because he doesn't like people, he takes care of her. He gives her water to drink. But of course, then things get complicated because he's pursued by General Ross and by some other people. There is a cameo, for instance, Iron Man, as he appeared in his first appearance in Marvel Comics, in his, golden armor here. So there's it is also quite action-packed to a decent extent. Look at that. Look at that page. Just the Iron Man's helmet with Hulk's reflection in it. What a piece of art. Well, here, there's this double spread page of Iron Man and Hulk fighting. This is beautiful. But these are not the pages that have been engraved in my mind forever. I'm talking about, and I have got my bookmark here, a Conan bookmark. The modern Marvel Conan bookmark. Talking about the comic, it's got bright sides, but it's got the other side. I'm talking about the vulnerability of Hulk, the inner vulnerability of Hulk, which is demented by his outer strength. And this is such a sad moment here. Hulk escapes, and a lot of people persuade him. And he goes into the desert, and he feels lonely. He feels alone. He sits on a rock and finds a bunny rabbit. Look at this page. It screams cuteness. Really, it's both the bunny and Hulk are so cute in this picture. So he's happy that he's finally found a friend, a little bunny, that he just wants to pet and be friends with, because he's not a monster. He's just big and big and grey, and strong, and angry, but gentle. And he says, "Grey, like Hulk." And then he starts, to pet the bunny rabbit. See? Can you see it? Yeah. Soft. It's reversed on the camera. Not like Hulk. Soft, not like Hulk. Stay friend. But he's so strong, and he doesn't realize that he's so strong that he kills the rabbit. See? Wet? Why friend wet? Friend? Hulk alone again. So look at it once more. He finds the bunny rabbit, cute bunny rabbit. He wants to be friends and pet it, but he doesn't realize how strong he is. He kills the rabbit and he is alone and lonely in the world again. But what I also find quite fascinating about these 2 pages, and really masterfully crafted, is that they didn't show the bunny rabbit being killed. It's not graphic. You can see, the bunny rabbit being pet. He pets the rabbit. Then he pets the rabbit a bit more, maybe too much. We can see that the bunny rabbit doesn't really like it. And then we could just see bloody finger and Hulk looking at his bloody finger quite, confusedly. And then he realizes that he's done something that might not, bring his friend back, or that might, unable to bring his friend back, and he's alone again. For me, this is such a sad, but at the same time, such a cute moment. And I have reread this comic book a couple of times, but I must admit that I have reread these couple of pages at least like 10 or 15 times. I don't know why. It's just, so emotionally strong that it stays with you forever. And that might be why, or that is why Hulk Grey will forever be my favorite Hulk comic book. Whatever, I might read as far as Hulk goes, action-packed, or story-wise, being Hulk, the World War Hulk, or the Planet Hulk, or the Scorched Earth, or whatever is it called, the Red Hulk. No, this will forever be my favorite Hulk, because the depiction of the gentle giant and his inner softness, outer strength, and also throughout the entire book he's arguing with himself, but really he's arguing with Bruce Banner, who is inside Hulk, and he's trying to get out. And Hulk actually hates Bruce Banner, and he doesn't want him to get out. So it's really quite complex, but at the same time, a simple story about the origin and the first days of Hulk, and about the loneliness that he surely is experiencing each and every day, even among so many superheroes that he knows and is friends with. So yeah, that's the gist of it. Hulk Grey. 3 pages, and it forever made Hulk Grey, my favorite comic, Hulk comic of all time. And that would be all from me, my friends. See you very soon. I have actually ordered a lot of manga, because I just want to get into manga suddenly. I've been trying to avoid manga, because I know that if I started reading manga, I would love it, and already I've got so much to read, and I've got so huge backlog and reading list, that I can't really afford to put more books on my reading list. But hey, it's like the life of a reader and a masochist, apparently. The reading list will never get shorter, it'll only get longer and longer and longer, so soon you might be expecting quite a lot of manga reviews. I'm looking forward to it, especially Berserk, Beastars, and what else was it? Basically everything written by Junji Ito. Well, created by Junji Ito, but because he also drew it. So yeah, that's it. Hulk Grey, my favorite Hulk comic book of all time, and very soon some manga review. And that will be really all from me now, my friends. See you soon. Keep safe, and bye.